tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, Coach Barnes, who's the founder and CEO of Golden Mind Thoughts. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Coach Barnes, founder and CEO of Golden Mind Thoughts. Welcome to the program.
Yes, thanks for having me. I hope you're having a lovely day so far.
Thank you, thank you. I definitely am, and it's a pleasure to have somebody like yourself here with us. We're always seeking out people in the community who do big things, great things, and you are definitely making your impact. So we're glad to have you. But before we get started, I always start off the show with my hot seat question, which is who is? So who is Coach Barnes?
Yes, well, Coach Barnes, like you said, born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm a sibling of 3 lovely ladies. I started my career, I want to say about, don't want to age myself, but I've been teaching and coaching for a little 20 plus years, and I finally decided to pour into myself, and I started my own business, which is Golden Mind Thoughts, located in Brooklyn, 55 Washington Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11201, and it's a leadership and life coaching service.
That is amazing. So kind of tell us what led up to this point, because we don't just wake up and start the business.
Absolutely
right?
not. No, that doesn't happen. There's a lot of steps in between. There's a lot in between. Right.
There's a lot of life in between. So give us that story. How did this all lead up?
Sure. I would definitely say, like I said before, I was in the teaching field for 20 plus years, both as a teacher and leadership member. I've coached teachers, I've coached leadership members, school leaders, but I want to say the last 4 years I really started feeling like it was time, like I wanted more. I felt like I was hitting the ceiling, so you say, in that field, and I was like, okay, what are going to be my next steps? But a year ago I became really ill, and I was diagnosed with lupus and pulmonary fibrosis, and it put a halt on everything. And in that process I was trying to figure out, okay, who am I? What am I going to do? What is life going to look like for me next? Because I can no longer be the fast-paced moving person that I was. I can no longer run up and down the stairs, going chasing behind kids, and just doing the fun things that I used to do. So I had to figure out like what would make me, the new version of me, happy. And coaching has always been a big part of me, but now I figured, okay, what can I do that will still allow me to feel fulfilled in doing that, but also cater to my illness or whatever. And so I came up in the wheezy wait of the night, like a lot of prayer, a lot of stress, a lot of just trying to figure out, especially once you get sick, you kind of go through this whole process of being sad and not knowing how you're going to get through and what the new life is going to look like. And I just, like, one night I really sat up and I prayed on it, and I was like, God, I really need you to show me what am I supposed to do next. And Golden Mind Thoughts came out of that. And because I've been working a lot with survivors of gun violence and domestic abuse, I started to think, okay, there's a space that really needs to be honed in on, and we need to find out a way, how do we tap into that so that it takes away that shame of it takes away that shame of getting help, asking for help, and it takes away that shame of I'm going through this. And often what happens is people, they go through problems in silence, right? They cry in silence, they be in depression, and they be depressed, anxiety, a lot of those things in silence, because they're afraid of how others might perceive them, or they
Or
don't
it's
want
just
to,
your
right,
coping
or it's just
mechanism.
or it's just your coping mechanism, or you feel like you should have known better, so you feel a lot of guilt on yourself, and you don't ask for help, or you were taught that, especially women of color, you're supposed to be strong, and being strong means handling things, and so I wanted to tap into that, and I wanted to change the focus of what being strong looked like, especially going through this myself. And for me, being strong looked like knowing when it's okay to ask for help. And I wanted to share that message within the community and with others. Like, it's okay not to be okay. It's
Like that.
really,
Okay to not be okay. And I think that's so vital to say that.
Right.
Because it's okay to not, you're allowed to have a day, a week, even a month. If you're not okay, you're not okay.
Right.
It's how you take the next steps to fix it.
And so that's a lot of what my coaching service does. It's about identifying who is your circle of people that you can go to. It's about identifying boundaries, identifying your mental space and what it looks like for that space to be safe. Because often what happens is you try to fill that role of, I just want to be busy so I don't have to think about what I'm going through. And then you end up in these circles of violent spaces that you didn't intend to be in, because you're trying to quiet your own mind of what you're going through, and it's actually doing more harm. So I wanted to utilize my coaching services, especially in the world of COVID. Like, everyone really was at home with their thoughts. There was no boundary. There was no church and state. It was like,
church,
right.
gym.
It was like
your
your
happy
office,
places.
right? Your office was in the living room. Your family and everything was in the kitchen and in the bedrooms, and there was no blur. Like, everything, like all the lines were crossed, and it was like you was trying to be mom, dad, everything, sister,
Teach.
brother, teacher. You was trying to do all of that stuff and do your job, be great at your job, be productive. And a lot of people didn't even realize that they were suffering from anxiety because of that thing. They were getting headaches, and then everybody's just popping like Excedrin or something, and not recognizing, like, no, like, this is not normal. Like, I'm feeling depressed, and it's okay that I'm feeling this way. I just need to acknowledge it and seek the help that I need to be okay. So that's what Gold Mind Thoughts is about. Gold Mind Thoughts is about catering to the entire you, not only the professional you, but the you that has trauma inside you. Is helping you navigate that, get to understand your feelings, navigate your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions, and be more productive so that you can show up and be the best version of yourself. And that's what sets Gold Mind Thoughts away from other coaching services, because it's not only about you being professional in your professional setting. It's about healing the person inside of you so that you can be okay with saying, I need help, or something is not right, and I need to lean on somebody else, or I need someone to be there for me, whether it is just to hear me cry, whether it's just to listen to me vent, but then help me come up with a plan afterwards, because that's super important. It's very important that you can vent about something, but it's just a venting session if you're going to come up with a plan of action afterwards, because it's still there.
Yeah, you're not taking the necessary steps
Right.
to actually fix something.
Right. So my goal is to help you do that. Now, I am not your problem solver. I'm not going to solve your problems. But I will help you identify the tools to utilize to come up with a plan of action that is best for you, not for me, because my plan of action may work for me, but it may not work for you.
Fair.
So we have to think about what works for you and what does it look like to show up for yourself, because you can't expect others that don't show up for themselves to show up for you. You have to think about, what does showing up for myself look like, and so that I can be okay with me and the decisions that I make.
I love it. Hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So, Coach Barnes, let's talk about the pandemic a little bit and how you had to restructure, because you have a physical location right here in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And then everything was closed. Things changed, including yourself as a business owner, mother, and all these different things, and then becoming ill.
Right.
You're coaching other people at the same time. Who does the coach get coaching from?
Right. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I definitely said, okay, I cannot carry all of this myself. And again, that helped me identify and come up with certain programs that I have in my coaching services, because I was like, all right, there's a lot happening. Like, I'm never turning off. I found myself, because at the time I was still a dean of students, so I was still working in the educational sector, and I was coaching on the side part-time. And so I was like, okay, I wake up in the morning, I start at 7:30. I'm checking attendance. I'm making sure, I'm contacting parents. Your kid's not in there. Please go in the room, wake them up, or have somebody wake them up. I was contacting teachers. I was doing all those things. Before I know it, I look up. It's 2 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything yet. Wow. and then it's like, okay, and then no, that would happen. The next thing I know, it's 6 o'clock, and I'm still now meeting with parents, because I'm trying to teeter between and cater to the family members who have to work and was not, their first responders or things of that nature. And so I wanted to make sure I still was able to allot them the space and time to speak about their children and to help them, right? So that was happening. And then I just started noticing I'm no longer working 9-hour days. I'm now working literally 16-hour days. Like, where do I get my reset? So that kind of started making me think, okay, this is not working. So I started journaling down a lot of my feelings and my thoughts, and just trying to say, how do I navigate through this? And a lot of that came out to me starting to put things in buckets and saying, okay, I need to go back to therapy, because I need somebody that I can talk to and that I can get these things off of my chest. So I started seeing my therapist again, and that helped with a lot of my anxiety and my sleepless nights, because I was then pouring that out and not taking it to bed with me. Because before I was carrying it into my sleep. Next thing I know, I'm waking up, and in the middle of my sleep, I'm talking about school, and I'm like, turn your cameras, So it was never leaving. There was no peace in my sleep, because I was still literally working in my sleep. So being able to speak to my therapist helped me to realize, okay, I am not the only person. I can't be the only person that's going through this. There has to be other people. So what I did was I started to reach out and do fillers and see other professionals, were they going through a similar thing? And lo and behold, it was so many. The response was overwhelming. And I was like, okay, we have to do something about this. So again, that helped me to start gearing to saying, you know what? I really need to get serious about my coaching, because everyone was calling me. Everybody wanted to talk. Everybody wanted to talk through something. Yeah. They was like, let me pick your brain about this. Or,
yes.
I need to talk. I need to vent to somebody, and I know by the time I finish, I'll come up with a plan. So, I had all of that going on. So I'm carrying that from everyone else, plus dealing with my own things. And at the time, I didn't even know I was sick.
So you weren't officially diagnosed, or
no,
you weren't feeling anything?
I was I had this constant cough I couldn't get rid of, and I kept going to the doctor, and he was like, "Oh, it's allergies. It's your asthma. Be careful. Just stay in with COVID going on. I just want you to be careful." They kept changing my inhaler, giving me different medicine for allergies. And I was like, "This is not going away." And then a couple of months later, I ended up in the hospital because I passed out in the house, and my friend found me, called the ambulance. I got to the emergency room. When they got to the emergency room, they said, you have pneumonia in both your lungs.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. So I was like, what? They just told me I had allergies. How do I have pneumonia in both my lungs?
You could have died not knowing that.
Right. And so I kept saying, even when I was going to the doctor, I was saying, something's not right. I know my body. Something is not right. And he kept brushing it off and saying, I'm telling you, it's just allergies. So, lo and behold, I end up in the hospital. They gave me some antibiotics. They sent me home. They said, if you start to feel the same way in about 3 or 4 days, come back. So, I took the antibiotics. 5 days later, I felt worse than I did when they first gave me the antibiotics. So, I went back to the hospital. Then they admitted me that time. They was like, it never looked like I took anything. So the antibiotics didn't work. They was thinking that I may have had COVID, but all the tests kept coming back negative. By this time, I could barely walk from my bedroom to the bathroom, because that's how hard it was for me to breathe. You can hear me coughing from outside the house.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, what is going on? I was in the hospital for 28 days. They still couldn't figure things out. And then at that point I started to pass out regularly. So they had to put me on bed rest. I wasn't able to be outside the bed without a nurse in the room with me, because I would just pass out and nobody knew why. My blood pressure would drop below 70, my heart rate would drop, everything, and then I'd be unresponsive, and then I'll come back to once they hook me up to the machine or whatever. So then all of that started happening. A couple months later, I went to a pulmonologist, and then I got diagnosed with the pulmonary fibrosis. And that was so weird, because I've never smoked a day in my life. So the doctor was like, why does your lungs look like a person that in their 80s who's been smoking all their life? And that's what I was that's crazy. And he couldn't believe it. So then he was like, okay, I need you to go do another CAT scan. He's like, and I'm gonna send the results to another partner of mine, and I want to get a second opinion about this. So my pulmonologist really got on it, and that's how it came about that I had the fibrosis. And then while in the hospital again, then they found out I had lupus. So it was all this happened within a matter of 6 months. All of this happened in 6 months. So I was no longer the super energetic, funny person that very charismatic, command the room. I was no longer that person. For me, that was a very heavy hit, because it went from me being so bubbly and joking all the time, and just being cheerful, to I was so sad and in such a dark place. And with a lot of praying with my family who stood by my side, they have really helped me keep my spirits up, because there is no cure for pulmonary fibrosis. I don't know if you know that. So down the line, I will need a double lung transplant, because my lungs are only functioning. At one point, they was only functioning at 20%. Now they're at 45%. But for the average person, your lungs function but anywhere between 85 and 100.
Well, hold that thought. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So, Coach Barnes, right before the break, you were just giving us some really insightful information about your lung capacity being at 45%. But then, as we know, you said it has to be
above 80. It has to be above 80. So
you're still at half capacity.
Right. Still under 50%. And your T is back and forth. Sugar. If I was to catch a cold, for a common cold for someone else, it would be like COVID for me.
Right.
So
it's even worse.
Right, it's even worse. So it was very scary. It was a time that I was in the hospital on a ventilator. My family didn't think I was going to make it through the night, and like I said, just with a lot of prayer and faith and my family at my side, I'm here today. Yes, I'm on oxygen. I'm on oxygen, I want to say about 80% of the day. Sometimes I can take it off, but if I start moving around, I have to have it on. If I'm talking, I have to keep it on, because I get winded really quickly. Yes. But that right there helped me to realize that I didn't want to give up. And I refused to go without a fight. And then once they told me I couldn't teach anymore, I couldn't be in the schools anymore, I couldn't work at the capacity that I was before, I kind of got I had forcefully retired from the educational field. Then I was like, well, what do I do now? And then I was like, well, you know what? Why not put 100% into my business? So it's like I'm doing this now, while I'm trying to figure things out and just make sure that I can be of some enlightenment or encouragement to someone else who is going through a similar experience, and let them know, like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help, and also, like, find what peace looks like for you, because you have to have peace within yourself in order for you to enjoy any moments. Because if you don't find your own peace, then you're constantly trying to figure something out. You're upset, you're angry, like you have all these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and you don't know where to put them because you're wrestling with yourself. And I feel like once I stopped fighting against being sick, so much more opened up for me, because I had the capacity to learn what life for me
you
now
accepted
look
it,
like.
and you're like, all right, it's not going to defeat me. I accept this for what
Right.
it is. Let's move on with it now.
Right. So I definitely had to grieve the old me so that I can step into the new me, which led me to my book that's coming out the end of this year. It's called Grieving to Heal, the Shadowboarding Experience, and it's about navigating through such things. How do you navigate when you used to be this one thing and something comes, life throws you curveballs, and then you end up in something else. And grieving can be grieving someone after death, or it can be grieving and living. And in my case, it was both. It was grieving my nephew's murder, and then it was also grieving the person that I used
who
to
you
be.
were.
Right.
Yeah, what you were able to do. And I find for some people, they never get over that fully, because they always live that. They want to live in the past.
Right.
Because it was such a great moment in time for them.
Yeah, and I definitely say, and I say to that, that's why it's important to be able to grieve that past so that you can be okay with letting it go. It's like you still have those memories, you still have those experiences, but what does your life look like now? And it opens you up to so much more, because then you have that capacity to say, all right, let me try these new things. Like you can relive, or not even relive, re-experience different things and be like, okay, like this is something I was afraid to try before. How about if I do it now? I'm much wiser now. I have this type of experience, so I can see things differently now. So I definitely say sometimes when you are unable to be the person you used to be, whether it's good or bad, it's very important for you to identify, like, what does letting that go looks like, so that you can embrace what's coming to you.
Absolutely. How do people at home get in contact with you, Coach Barnes? Because it's amazing. We got to let this information be known.
Absolutely. So they can find my website is www.goldminethoughts.com. I also have a blog. It's called The Recondition, where I give out these tips. It's called The Recondition, and it is therecondition.com. And then I also follow me on social media at Coach Barnes GMT. That's my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay, great. So you're out there, you're on social, you're on TikTok. I love that you're on TikTok, actually. So you do your videos and all those cool things.
Yes, I'm learning it. Like, this world of TikTok, I'm really, like, I had to get my assistant, like, young guy. I'm like, okay, you got to help me with this TikTok business. I don't know much about it. So I'm getting into it, embracing it, with, here I go aging myself again. It's an experience, but I'm starting to have fun with it.
Yeah.
It also allows me to engage with a younger crowd, and I've noticed in working in school, especially, a lot of them deal with self-esteem issues, so my videos kind of help that as well. And then I have my Facebook is more of like the older, mature group, which is Golden GMT LLC. That's my Facebook, and it's more the mature crowd. But I don't like to box myself in, because I feel like I have a message, and you never know who it can touch.
Yes, absolutely. So that's great. Any final words as you get ready to wrap up? Just words of inspiration. Any positive thoughts that you could share with everyone?
I would definitely say, never be afraid to show up for yourself. You have spent years showing up for someone else. Pour into yourself. Show up for yourself. Polish your crown. You are already a king or a queen.
That's so true. And I always say, I tell people, I try to live by the oxygen mask theory. You got to secure your mask before
Right.
you secure somebody else's. And there's a lot of truth to that, because how could I be good? I can't drink from an empty cup.
Right. Right.
My cup has to be full. If I'm always pouring out and always giving to everybody else, and I'm naturally a giver. I'm empathetic and I'm naturally a giver, which means I'm always last because I'll give to everyone else and then forget, oh, Lydia might not. She's not hungry. I'm not thirsty. I don't have needs. Of course. But by giving, you feel fulfilled. So one part of you is overjoyed and happy, but then you're still left without because, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just are takers.
Right. That is so true. And what I do is I tell my clients, schedule it in. Like, even if you have to schedule in, okay, on Wednesdays from 6 to 7, that is my me time. That is my time to be selfish, because I believe whatever you don't schedule doesn't happen. So schedule in your me time so that you can pour into your own cup. I also say, as an adult, go back and read The Giving Tree. It's a very good kids book, but you have different eyes when you read it as an adult. And it's a lot about that person who was always constantly giving to the taker, and then when the taker finally comes back at the end, it's like, I have nothing else to give.
Right.
So,
that's great.
right. So I say, go back as an adult and read The Giving Tree, because you can see it with fresh eyes. And it helps you take a look at the way you see yourself as someone who, like myself, is a giver, who is an empath, who carries the weight of others, and sometimes forget to polish my own crown, So it's important to be able to polish your own crown and fulfill your own cup.
Well, Coach Barnes, thank you very much for tonight, and we'll definitely have you back again soon.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Great. As always, if you have any questions or comments, send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back again next week. Same time, same place. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us.
Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.